Last week I had Shay Dixon on. We were at Pluckers on Thursday watching some hoops, and as part of the segment, we talked about the big weekend that LSU had previously, and some of the offers that had gone out, some of the commitments they had gotten, and I thought it was a really informative segment that Shay gave us, and he got great information over there. But I ended the segment. I said, "Tell me about Colin Hurley," because I just think it's the most interesting recruit to talk about. If you don't have Leonard Fournette or one of those guys who's just been on the radar for 4 years and is a top 5 player in the country, who's right down the road that everybody in the state knows, that obviously trumps maybe just the out-of-state quarterback. But Hurley has been interesting to me because he's so young. I mean, when he committed to LSU, I put his film on and I said, yeah, it's a pretty good arm, but it's not that good. And then I realized, wait a second. That's from his freshman year. He's 14. Like, that's because you realize he was about to play his sophomore year and he's about to skip his junior year because he's going to reclassify and play his senior year. So he's been a starting quarterback since he was just out of 8th grade. So he's filled out and grown up a little bit. And now you look at Hurley and he's listed at 6 feet and a half, 220 pounds, which for a 16-year-old is pretty stout. And he's going to continue to grow and fill out. And his talent level is really impressive. And I'm curious how this ends up shaking out. I didn't get to pick Shay's brain on this quite enough when we were talking on Thursday, but when he reclassified, he kind of went down towards the bottom of the pile. For his class, because they don't evaluate a ton of freshmen, they're just not playing that much at that point or haven't developed at all. He was way towards the top of the national rankings for good reason. And then he reclassifies to a group that has far more players being rated. And you look at On3, and they've got him as the 214th player in the country, number 14 quarterback, number 28 player in the state of Florida, which isn't jaw-dropping. But he is impressing continually. And one of the places he did that most recently, the place he did it most recently, was out in Mesa, Arizona, home of Chicago Cubs spring training, where they had overtime 7. It's the OT 7 circuit, and it was a 7-on-7 tournament that was hosted out there in the state of Arizona. And there were, a lot of really good players. And there were 40 players inside the top 300 for 2024 over at On3. And the MVP of the week went to Cam Coleman, who's a wide receiver from the state of Alabama. That doesn't sound great. Sounds like I probably know where he's headed. But if you scroll down a little bit, as they ranked the players in the top 10 from this big national tournament in Mesa, Arizona, number 4 on the list is Colin Hurley. And Steven Spiegelman writes in this piece for On3 that Hurley made a compelling case as the top signal caller in the desert on the weekend. He's an LSU commit, had a fantastic chemistry with Coleman, the MVP, and the two accounted for some fireworks early and deep into the day on Sunday. Hurley was also proficient throwing on the run, very polished and sound with his throwing motion and delivery. He can also launch it from various angles without losing a second off his fastball. This future Tiger was certainly in a rhythm in Arizona. He feels like a massive, massive talent. That's what it feels like when you read some of the reviews about him. Now, so did Walker Howard, and LSU got him, and he was here for a year, and now he plays for a team that we all hate. So, trust me, I get the point of the discussion and how quickly things can change, specifically at that position. But it doesn't hurt to get them committed and signed. Getting guys to campus at that position is a good thing, because you never know when two guys are going to transfer in the same day like they did a couple of years ago. So Hurley just appears to have a huge skill set, big arm, and even though he's young for his class, seems to be impressing when joined by what are now his peers at the high school level, where I don't know if that was necessarily the case 2 years ago when he was just a little kid, basically, and he was playing high school football. So I'm personally pretty excited about the possibilities with Colin Hurley. Well aware of how things usually work out at that position, but I think he's a huge talent that's only going to get better and stronger, and hopefully ends up in Baton Rouge and becomes a starting quarterback. But he's just a guy. It was early commit for his age, obviously, understanding he was going to reclassify. So we'll have known about him for longer than really anybody in his class. And I like LSU's quarterback room right now with Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. Ricky Collins adds a little depth there, and I think the talent and potential that Colin Hurley has coming up next is in a really, really good spot. Now, it's all got to overhaul in time, and you got to work the transfer portal, and you got to continue to bring guys in. I mean, we probably didn't think LSU was going to be in the quarterback market when Miles Brennan's coming back and Garrett Nussmeier's on campus and Walker Howard's coming. You wouldn't figure LSU would be in the transfer market, and boom, Jaden Daniels shows up as your starting quarterback. I get it, but I like Hurley. I think it's an exciting commitment and potential signing, and he certainly showed that in a big-time camp in Mesa over the weekend. So I wanted to mention that here in one of our shorter segments because I think it's an interesting deal. Hey, thanks so much for watching the Hunt Palmer Show on YouTube. If you don't mind, throw us a like right below and hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time.